All right, good evening again, everyone. I'd like to make a start now if we can. First of all, I wanted to say that a very warm welcome to you all. This is Engage Estero's fifth public forum held and indeed tonight, of course, we are here in the FGCU Students' Cohen Ballroom. I would like to thank Dr. Aysegul Timur and the team of the Florida Gulf Coast University for hosting tonight's meeting and for their generosity in providing a concession on the event fees for us, which is very kind. Given the nature of this topic, it's perhaps not surprising that it's generated so much interest, not only among residents of the village of Estero, but of course also among those who live along the East Corkscrew corridor. And this is about the importance of what we see happening in Greater Estero, not just in Estero. I'd also like to extend a very special thanks to our panelists. They're, of course, all extremely highly accomplished leaders in their respective fields, and we truly appreciate their willingness to be here this evening to share their insights with our community. Just one small point before I go any further. You will, of course, see on your seats our annual report. Obviously, we'd like you to take that with you. There's an awful lot of very interesting and important information in there about the nature of our work and some of the achievements that we've done in the last year. You'll also see at the back that we've acknowledged the many people, companies, and HOAs that have kindly supported us with their donations. We are a volunteer group. No one here gets paid, so I'm doing this voluntarily like everybody else. But when you feel the need to support us, we would certainly appreciate perhaps you looking at the details of what we are doing and why we are doing it. So our panelists this evening comprise, in no particular order, I just pulled them out of a hat, Nick Cameratta, who is one of the founders and Chief Operating Officer of the Cameratta Group of Companies. David Hoffmann, founder and chairman of the Hoffmann family of companies. Dr. Aysegul Timur, president of Florida Gulf Coast University. Chris Simoneau, chief development, marketing, and communications officer for Lee Health. And certainly last, but by no means least, Steve Sarkozy, manager of the village of Estero. I know that for many of you, traffic and transportation issues are a significant concern. While some of our panelists will touch on these topics, and we have certainly a number of questions about that, of course, we don't this evening have representatives here from the Lee County Metropolitan Planning Organization, FDOT, LEDOT, or the county commissioners. It would have been too extensive to have had all of those people here to talk about that. However, recognizing that it is such an important issue, I'm pleased to say that Don Scott, who is the executive director of the MPO, and Brian Bolus, who is one of the key people at the Florida Department of Transportation, will be joining us at the next meeting we will have on April the 17th. That will be at the Estero Recreation Center, just off Corkscrew Road, and that meeting will begin there at 10 o'clock. Obviously, we'll provide more details about that in the coming weeks, but it will provide an opportunity for a more detailed discussion specifically focused on roads and traffic issues, which I know are very dear to both me and to you as well. But as we have a full agenda tonight, I'd like to begin, first of all, by inviting Chris Simoneau to share his opening remarks during our first 10-minute segment, which we will have for each of the speakers here this evening. So I will put my timer on, and that will be done for everybody, just so that we can see how things go. But anyway, Chris, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. And thank you all for being here tonight. Let me first start by thanking Engage Estero for putting this together, and also to thank my fellow panelists. It's a pleasure to be up here with such a great and esteemed group of colleagues. I also want to say it's great to be back here at FGCU. I spent 6 years here and left without getting a degree. So, but there's hope. There's hope yet. And actually, I thought, Alan, you promised us all corned beef and cabbage tonight. So happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. It's great to see all the community. So I'm Chris Simoneau. I'm the Chief Development, Marketing, and Communications Officer for Lee Health. Lee Health is a very proud community partner here across Lee County and Southwest Florida. We have over 17,000 employees. We're the largest employer in Southwest Florida. We have about 120 locations throughout the region, including here in Estero. And I think in order to understand what the future of Estero is, at least as it regards healthcare, we have to understand that of the last 10 years to understand where we're going in the future. So let me explain a little bit about what Lee Health has done in Estero over the last 10 years. Obviously, you know that we created the Lee Health Coconut Point, and that has everything except inpatient beds, surgery centers, primary care, urgent care, emergency room, pharmacy, lab, everything you can get down at Lee Health Coconut Point. In addition to that, we've invested at University Highlands, which is just outside of Miramar Outlets, which has women's care, imaging, primary care, et cetera. We launched a specialty pharmacy. Many of you, I hope, don't know where it is, but it's just south of Coconut Point. Out of that pharmacy, where we have about 45 people working, we deliver about $100 million worth of pharmaceuticals across our region. It's a very, very specialty area, a lot of oncology drugs and things out of that. So we're bringing jobs down there as well. And then we took over full ownership of the Bonita Health Center, and we have brought about 10 or 15 new specialists into the Bonita Health Center. And then finally, I want to share that we have recently launched the Proton Center. And if you haven't been over to the Proton Center at the intersection of Estero Parkway and Three Oaks, this is world-leading cancer treatment right here in Estero. You will not find a better Proton Center anywhere in the world. We have the latest and greatest Proteus machine, and it is fantastic. So all of that just invested in Estero in the last 10 years. I'll remind you, no other healthcare system has invested in Estero in the last 10 years like Lee Health has. So what is next? Where are we going? The first thing I want to talk about is East Corkscrew. And I know Nick is going to get into this, but you might know that there's a lot of construction going on East Corkscrew. And you didn't know that? We have entered into a partnership with Cameratta Companies, WMG, to open up a new facility on East Corkscrew Road outside of Verdana. We are putting the final touches on the contracts and the due diligence on that property, but we hope to have an urgent care center and primary care offices out on East Corkscrew. Seeing the growth on East Corkscrew, we're planning for more. We'll watch how the Kingston property evolves, but we believe that there's plenty of citizens moving out to that area, and Lee Health wants to be there and wants to be their healthcare provider. And I think the other thing you want to know about over the next 20 years is what's the future of Lee Health Coconut Point. I will say that we do have plans to bring inpatient beds to the Lee Health Coconut Point facility, and we're looking at what that might be. A traditional, and I could go deep into hospitals and what we need in hospitals, but a traditional hospital is probably not what we need there. But thinking about a very specialized destination medicine hospital at Coconut Point is one of the things that we're contemplating today. So stay tuned for more on that. Now, as we think about the next 20 years, and as it relates to my business of healthcare, I thought I'd just share a little bit of where I think things are going. The first thing is we're already delivering in hospital care in people's homes right now in Estero. It's called Hospital at Home, and it allows us to deliver hospital level care inside of your homes. That's already happening today. It's almost like going back to the past where you have house calls, but we're delivering in-home care in Estero. And I think that's the future. We're going to have much more healthcare delivery outside of hospitals and more in the outpatient setting, even back to your home. Today, we are doing things like remote patient monitoring patients' blood pressure, weight, blood oxygen levels, et cetera, in their home. It's automatically uploaded via Wi-Fi. It's managed by a nurse in a central location. So we're monitoring patients across all of our community. The future also includes a lot more wearables. Does anyone have a watch? It's tracking your heart rate, it's tracking blood pressure, et cetera. We're going to move much more into wearables, apps, tracking devices. I think the future of healthcare includes implantable devices. You know that there's continuous glucose monitoring machines right now, but you're going to get much more into real-time monitoring of healthcare. So where's healthcare going? I think we're moving much more towards a focus on longevity. I think we're moving towards personalized medicine. I think we're working on genomics. I think you're going to see over the next 20 years in Estero a much more focus on wellness, on self-guided care. I think AI and technology are going to change healthcare as we know it. It already has, and will even accelerate even future over the into the future. I think you're going to see competition coming into the region. We're already starting to see this. We know that HCA owns property on 41. You're going to see more healthcare competition moving into Estero. And I think in the next 20 years, you're going to see massive shifts of public policy as it relates to healthcare. We already know that the Medicare Trust Fund is scheduled to be bankrupt by 2031. We're going to see massive changes to Medicare and Medicaid over the next 20 years. The one thing I also want to talk about as it relates to healthcare is that only about 20% of the healthcare of your healthcare is done in a healthcare setting. The other 80% is dependent upon things that happen well before you reach a healthcare setting. The so-called social determinants of health include things like where you work, where you exercise, how you eat, can you access food, are you safe at home, etc. And so as we think about healthcare in the next 20 years and Estero over the next 20 years, I want to talk about 4 things that I think are absolutely essential to keeping a healthy and well community here in Estero. The first is strong educational systems, right? We have to partner with FGCU, our K-12, our training programs. Having educated people is key to improved health, right? The second is to preserve and protect access to public spaces for wellness. What do I mean by that? I'm going to look down the table at Steve and David. Right? We need the Estero Recreation Center and the park. We need the High Five Complex to come on board. We need the Burt Rail Trail, right? Where people can walk and run and exercise. We need Gresham Park and the Village Park adjacent to that. We need to create tobacco-free zones across our community. We need Hertz Arena to continue to invite the public in for public skating and staying involved and active. We need Youth Sports League in San Carlos Park. And we need adult leagues. We need to protect the crew lands. And we need to look at Nick when I say this, is that the amenities inside of gated communities are really driving some of our health and wellness. If you haven't been to Verdana and seen the incredible amenity center they have, it's really inspiring people to get out, stay active, stay involved, stay healthy. And then the third thing I would say is that Estero needs a stable and diversified economy. Having a paycheck and having health insurance contributes significantly to our health and wellness. And then the fourth, I would say we need strong civic and cultural institutions, right? We need partnerships with government, schools, cultural institutions like art and music and plays, libraries, faith communities, and senior centers. We have to focus over the next 20 years to make sure we keep and preserve those strong civic and cultural institutions. And then finally, I'll wrap up by saying, what do I see as the challenges facing Estero over the next 20 years? Traffic congestion, clean air and water, affordable housing, reasonable commutes, so having housing close to jobs and a diversified economy. I think we're going to have struggles with supporting our senior population. We need to invest in senior centers and living facilities. I think we need to build upon our environmental resilience. I think we need to provide an adequate workforce. The workforce participation rate in Southwest Florida, thank you, is, see, I knew it. We need to increase the workforce participation, and then we're going to be faced with an aging infrastructure in Estero over the next 20 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Right, I'd like to call on you, David, if you would, to give us your insights for the future. Thank you.
Pretty good. Well, thank you. Thanks for letting me be here. I'll tell you a little bit about my background and my wife's background because I'm pretty proud of it. I grew up without hot running water, a little farm town in Washington, Missouri. My wife and I have been married for 54 years. We have 13 grandkids. 5 of them are down here seeing us now. And we had very humble beginnings, so I'm kind of a self-made guy. Our company has grown. My 2 sons and I have grown a company that has 28,000 employees worldwide. We're one of the largest private family offices in the world. We started investing in Southwest Florida about 10 years ago, 8 years ago, when we first bought Hertz Arena. Then we bought what's going to be the Pandian Club, Old Corkscrew Golf Club, and I'll tell you a little bit about our plans for the Pandian Club. Then we bought 20 development acres next to that club. And so we're committed to Estero. I hope, how many have been to the Hertz Arena? Can you raise your hand? Whoa, 100% almost. All right, that's good. Thank you for that. What we've tried to do there is we went in and immediately, as you may recall, renovated it, and it was pretty good. We tried to make it a little better, and we think we accomplished that. We're committed, as you may know, we're under contract by the Pittsburgh Penguins, a professional hockey team. That will be an added plus for Estero because we're planning on having a couple professional games here, perhaps against the Florida Panthers and our Pittsburgh Penguins at our arena, which would be a first. So we're excited about that. Steve asked me, are we still committed to Estero? We very much love Estero. We love investing here. We're looking at significant investment in raw land around us, around the arena. One of the things we're looking at is enhancing our parking. We don't have enough parking for our events, so we need more parking. We also, in other parts of the country where we operate, we have developed downtowns. Some of you may be familiar with what we've done in Naples, in downtown Naples. We've done that in 5 cities throughout America. That interests a little bit for Estero, perhaps, and some other entertainment venues that would be coexistent with the Hertz Arena. We've been successful in bringing in significant talent in terms of artists to the area. We recently had Nate Bargatze. Did anybody see Nate Bargatze while he was here? Was that not the funniest guy you ever saw in your life? And not one cuss word, not one off-color joke, not one. It was just, he's an amazing guy. We also had Adam Sandler. We're never inviting him back because it was the raunchiest thing I've ever seen. And I wrote him a letter saying, you can never come back here. You know, it's just, we like to have businesses that my kids and grandkids are proud of, and Adam Sandler didn't fit that bill, unfortunately. So we're committed to the area. We've got great interest in the land around us and development. We've worked closely with FGCU on a number of fronts. We established the first hospitality wine laboratory, I think, for your university. We hire interns, 15 to 20 a year. We hire students from the university. We support the golf team, plays at our golf course. The hockey team plays at our hockey arena. I'm close to your basketball coach. I think I'm going to give him some NIL money. Is that what they call it? Or where you get to pay the players? So we're going to continue to be a part of Estero for as long as you let us be a part of Estero. Don't plan on going anywhere. Don't plan on selling those assets ever. And we're very committed to it. So we've worked closely with Steve over the years. We have some plans. I guess he doesn't want me to talk about, so I won't. So maybe he will. But they're pretty exciting plans, and we would love to be a part of those plans. And it's significant what we're talking about. So keep in mind all the things that you said, Chris, about some of the infrastructure problems. I will tell you, most of the cities we operate in are cities like this, Estero and Naples, and they face similar issues: housing for employees, traffic, et cetera, et cetera. We've been able to navigate around most of those problems. In downtown Naples, when we purchased Fifth Avenue, the issue was parking. We invented the valet service down there. We now own the largest valet service in Florida. And we've kind of solved the parking problem on Fifth Avenue. So there's a number of ways to skin the cat with some of the issues that you discussed. And we're always attuned to that. I think the other thing I like to think about our company is this is where we make our money. So we like to give back and be philanthropic. Hopefully we've proved that with the university, I think, and other things that we've invested in here. The most fun asset I own is the Hertz Arena. Of everything we own around the world, we own other arenas around the world, but this is the most fun asset I've ever had. The community has been so supportive. We sell out almost every event we do. I wish it was bigger, but it's not. Someday it may be. Most of our hockey games sell out. As you know, we're the only ECHL team that has won 3 consecutive championships, world championships of minor league hockey in a row. We have the winningest coach to ever coach professional hockey and the winningest general manager that's ever coached professional hockey. This year, we have the second winningest record in all of hockey. And if I were a betting man, I'd bet we're going to win the championship again this year. This is the best team that I've seen since I've been involved. So thank you for continuing to support the team. Thank you for continuing to support our events. And thank you for continuing to support the Hoffmann family of companies. And I'm here later to answer any questions that you might have about what we're
Terrific.
up to.
Terrific. Thank you, David. Right. Well, I'd like to hand over to Nick Cameratta, if I could. Thank you. Thank you, Nick.
That was very nice, David. That was excellent. And of course, Chris, with Lee Health, you guys gave a great explanation on what you guys do. And I appreciate, Alan, you putting this together. You asking me to participate as a panelist. Our family has been here for over 20 years, developing property in Lee County. Cameratta Companies, it's a family business that includes myself, my 2 brothers, and my father. So it's great. We get to work together every day and share our visions and our expertise. And we share a little different expertise in various areas. Our company is known for developing environmental restoration project with a residential component. So it is very, very important to us, the environmental efforts that go into every single development that we develop. Traffic is also something that is always kept in mind on how we can coordinate and deal with anything that we can as it relates to our projects and assist in anything that we can to try to help through that navigation and that process. We obviously a big water conservationists and anything that we can as relates to protecting the environment. We're supporters of Lee Health, of course. Lee Health, we're very, very proud and excited to have you over at Verdana Village. Verdana Village was just announced as the #1 selling community this last week at the Market Trends event. We're real proud of that. It also has significant environmental aspects with that community. We did a massive water storage facility inside that project. In fact, it's taking on the majority of the East Lee County water storage. So what it does is it keeps water from flooding over, from any flooding into the neighbors. It also allows the water to accumulate and then attenuate all the way down and recharge the aquifers. So that is really important to us to continue to build up that water supply based on what efforts we're doing here. In the meantime, obviously the environmental groups, CREW, we're a real big supporter of CREW. I think they do a fabulous job. Of course, FGCU, we're supporters of FGCU as well. And we hope to continue conversations with you into the future. I'm proud to announce that we have successfully contracted to build a new school in Kingston. And we always had anticipated bringing a school to this area, to Estero. We feel that one is absolutely necessary. We were able to contract with a school named True North Classical Academy. True North Classical Academy is among the best school in the state and nation. So we were able to attract them over to Lee County. We're real proud of that. They're going to have 3,100 students. It's going to be a campus setting, and it's going to go elementary, middle, and high school.
Wow.
And it's a charter school. And I would like to point out something that most people don't realize, and in fact, to be honest, I did not realize. Charter schools are tuition-free public school. And I didn't realize that. So that is a really great asset and benefit that we're going to have right in the center of Kingston. It's within 2 miles walking distance. So everybody will be able to walk their kids, or the kids can walk or bike to school. Also be fully golf cart connectivity, the entire town. So all of Kingston, the entire project will have golf cart connectivity, which helps with traffic circulation, internal traffic capture to keep the cars off the roads. We'll have a grocery store, we'll have commercial services, and we'll be able to have people either taking golf carts throughout Kingston, or biking, or walking, or riding all throughout the area. So we're real proud of that. Of course, with the project itself, we are installing a 5.5 mile spine road, which is also used as a hurricane evacuation route. It's called Kingston Village Parkway. It's currently under construction right now. You may have seen it. And that road is going to provide 4 lanes with 10-foot shared use path on either side of the road. So you'll have golf carts, biking, walking, jogging. You'll be able to do it all on that shared use path. And it will be a north to south, south to north thoroughfare roadway system that'll get us from Corkscrew Road to 82. Again, have some pressure taken off of that Corkscrew area and the traffic by the internal capture we're going to have with our community, by people being able to go right to the schools and commercials, not having to leave the developments, the amenities that we're planning for the community as well. We are known for developing communities with a lot of amenities, a lot of different amenities, and we like to believe we're ahead of the curve on a lot of the amenities we're developing. So currently, we have Verdana Village that's under construction. We have an indoor sports complex with pickleball courts, tennis courts, a fabulous pool, multiple restaurants and entertainment venues. And that is, and again, it's the #1 selling community in Southwest Florida and in Lee County. And we hope things will continue down over to Kingston. I'm going to share a little bit this evening with about the amenities and show you some pretty pictures and things that we're planning there. It will be by far the nicest amenity package we've ever delivered and built in any of our developments. So we're real proud of that. A couple of things I'd like to point out tonight, this evening, about the environmental efforts that I think are very important and I think sometimes everyone's not aware of, is the benefits that we have with the water. Kingston itself will reduce approximately 77%, or 4.7 billion gallons per year of water withdrawal reductions from what was previously permitted. We're also going to be removing 67 permitted wells, and we've already discovered, in addition to 67 wells, we've discovered 15 wells that were undocumented, unpermitted, that we're able to remove as well. That all helps to recharge those aquifers and not drawing the water out of the aquifers. We have in Kingston, separate of Verdana, we also did this in Verdana, We have 3,000 acres of on-site water storage, which will allow the aquifers to attenuate, recharge, and assist in reducing the flooding issues over in that area as well. So again, a similar process. It has been effective. It's proven to be effective, and we're continuing things over at Kingston. So that really will help the water issues or any kind of water concerns that people will have. We're doing all our efforts as best as we can to keep that water supply up and not draw down, but actually help the situation. We also have, maintenance and monitoring that we'll be doing perpetuity. We're reducing nitrogen levels, phosphorus levels. And I think that's important. Getting into what we see over the next, 15, 20 years, I do believe that you're going to see continuation of growth on that Alico corridor, specifically, especially with the Alico extension that's coming. I think that's going to be real big. You're going to see expansions on healthcare. You're going to see expansions on Amazon and the other commercial tenants that are located in that area. So that's all great for job creation. It's great for the housing market in that area. And other things that I think are coming soon, or I know are coming soon, are LCEC. They're going to be building a new substation. Obviously, power's in high demand. There's a lot of growth. There's a lot of housing, a lot of rooftops. Also, AI is taking a lot of power. Okay, so we were able to work out a deal with LCEC, and they're going to be building a brand new substation right on 82, starting, they're already in the design phase to get that operational as soon as possible. FPL reached out to us. We were fully cooperative to sign and record an easement with them, allowing them access to get access all the way up through and provide additional power for that entire Alico extension and Alico corridor. Significant step in the right direction for the power needs of the area. Lastly, I want to point out for the next 20 years, or a couple more items, are
Just a minute.
left. Okay. I believe that with the water and sewer efforts that we're bringing down the Kingston Village Parkway, we're going to take it out over towards that Lehigh area. Lehigh is right now on well and septic. Well and septic draws down the aquifers. Lehigh had 16,000 permits over the last 3 years, all on well and septic. Okay, so that does deplete your water, unfortunately. It has nothing to do with us, that is Lehigh. In the meantime, by the efforts that we're bringing down the corkscrew, down the Spine Road, we're going to bring water and sewer over in that area. And our hope is that eventually one day Lehigh will connect into that public water supply and sewer supply, and you'll start seeing the discontinuation of well and septic in that geographic area. For that, I think I'm all wrapped up.
Wonderful.
Give me the opportunity to speak. I appreciate it. And obviously I'll be sharing more on medical and other things that we have planned for Kingston and some of our other communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Perfect timing. It's perfect timing. Dr. Timur, I know that you have quite a number of things you'd like to share with everybody as far as FGCU and what goes forward. So please.
Thank
Floor
you.
is yours.
Thank you so much. Well, welcome to FGCU, everyone. It is such a pleasure to see so many familiar faces and new faces coming to FGCU. And again, thanks to Engage Estero, always partnering with us. I love the newsletter. I hope that you like the newsletter because FGCU mentioned every time. So it tells you that how much we are integrated in our communities and how much we are partnering with our communities to do the great work that is happening at your university. So you heard me many times referencing FGCU as your university, and some of you approached to me and said, well, I did not graduate from FGCU. And my response has been, but you're here in Southwest Florida now. And we've become truly your university. Since we opened our doors in 1997, our mission has been very clear. We are Southwest Florida's regional comprehensive university. What it means is that we provide distinctive, transformative education very student-centered, student-focused education in Southwest Florida and beyond. Our identity is very clear. We align with our communities, we work with our communities, we listen, and we respond. We are only a 28 years old institution. Can you believe that? 28 years is such a short time in higher education, but your university has been very busy and has been doing such a great job. Let me tell you why I say that. In 28 years, we developed 66 undergraduate degree programs, 27 master's degree programs, 7 doctoral programs, program tracks, 17 post-baccalaureate certificate programs, and we never stopped there. We said, we are innovative. Let's listen to our industry partners in the region and let's create micro-credentials and digital badges. We are very innovative from that standpoint. So your university has been very, very busy to do this work. But also being and regional comprehensive university. Yes, teaching, learning, applied research, and service to our communities are so important to us, but we are opening our doors to our communities in so many different ways. I see a lot of faces that are attending our D1 athletic games. Let me see those hands that you're coming. And yes, thank you. I see you in Alico Arena. I see you at baseball games. I see you softball, tennis, swimming and diving, and soccer games. You will find me there, definitely watching both women's and men's soccer teams. We also, I'm sure like me, I commute from Naples to here, and everybody says, well, don't you think that you're spending 25 minutes on the way? What are you doing? I'm like, just tune in WGCU and you will get the local news and you will be connecting to professional public station in your community, aligning with your community. How many of you are attending FGCU Academy, taking courses? Yes, I see many of you being around the campus, and I see so many of you coming and auditing our classes. If you're over 60 years old, you can come and audit any classes here at FGCU. So your university is opening its doors to you in so many different ways, and we are here to align with our community. So what is happening at your university? What are we working on? We continue to grow. I said all these program developments, we are now at 16,800 students. Mm-hmm. So yes, your university from the early times, starting with 2,500 students, now we are one of the chosen, really top 10 chosen universities in the state of Florida. But let me tell you one thing I'm so proud of FGCU is that the regional comprehensive identity is truly achieved. 50% of our students come from the Southwest Florida region. That is amazing. 87% of our students coming from the state of Florida. We are part of the 12 university system serving the great state of Florida, and we are accomplishing our mission. So what are we working on? What are we doing now? Well, since we're growing, but we know what the needs are. You heard Chris talking about healthcare. You talk about the AI. We talk about and we see how much healthcare worker investment we need to do. We are now building our next building that is very creatively named Academic Building 10. So this is going to be 130,000 square feet building where we are expanding our healthcare programs. Do you know that your university has the top nursing program in the state of Florida? Let me see the hands. Yes. Let me tell you, amazing students, that 100% passing rates for the nursing licensing exam happening at your university. Do you know that 100% of our students passing the occupational therapy licensing exam, 100% physical therapy passing exam. So our students are very well prepared. So what we are doing is that we're doing expansion in the Merritt College of Health and Human Services. But let me tell you one thing that I'm so excited. In that building, we are also correlating with our student health services. So our students can do practicum, serving peers to peer, right, under the observation of our faculty. But along with that, our counseling and psychological services will be in the same building. So we are truly doing a great collaboration for those functions at your university. So April 15, we will be doing the groundbreaking for Academic Building 10. So along with that, I have seen so many of you attending our Bauer School of the Music and the Arts events. Let me see the hands in the room. Great. So we are expanding, doing physical expansion for the Bauer School of Music and the Arts, and we are in the planning stage. You will see a lot of changes happening in that area, considering Southwest Florida is all about the culture, arts, and coming together. So that's another one. So we are a regional comprehensive university. We are serving the 5-county region. So it's a great thing that your university is also expanding to Charlotte County. How? Well, thanks to Kitson and Partners, who built Babcock Ranch, donated a land to FGCU, a prime land in middle of Midtown. So thanks to the state leaders that allocating funds to us, guess what? We're building Academic Building 11 now in Babcock Ranch. So what's going to be? It is going to be the Institute for Sustainability and Resiliency. And we have been saying that this is a sustainable university, and we are now offering, in the process of developing programs in sustainability and resiliency. So Babcock Building will be the home of that. We also expanding in Lee County, and we have the land available to us, what is called Buckingham. And thanks to the presidents, 4 presidents before me, they left that project to me. So I am really having great fun developing this Buckingham property. But the first thing we did was in Buckingham, we now created and developed our golf learning center. This is the short game practices area for our students. As you know, there are 16 PGA accredited goal management programs in the nation. There is only one in Florida. Guess where that is? At your university, at FGCU. So that's why we are working on that development.
Time, Dr. Timur.
Right. Let me finish it up very quickly. So what also we're doing is with housing, it's an important part. Thanks to President Emeritus Mike Martin came up with an idea 6 years ago saying that we need to develop employee housing for our faculty and staff to attract the world-class faculty. Your university is now developing workforce housing, employee housing for FGCU faculty and staff. So we are very happy with that. And lastly, since 1997, we had more than 48,000 alumni graduated from FGCU. Half of them work and stay in Southwest Florida. Today, your university, 64% of our students graduate debt-free, thanks to many of you providing scholarships, internships, and many opportunities. FGCU continues to be your university, and I have a lot to say more, but I'll keep those when the questions come.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And Steve Sarkozy next, if you would.
Thank you, Alan, and thank you to Engage Estero for hosting this event. As you may know, my name is Steve Sarkozy, and I'm village manager here at Estero. And I came on board after the village was formed only 11 years ago. So our challenge at the village, is one of the newest communities in the state of Florida, is to establish a solid foundation as we move into the future. And as a new community, that's quite an effort. So I'll give you a little of that background. When we were formed in 2014, I wasn't here, but Estero was formed by a plurality of 85% voting in favor to establish this community as a new community. That's one of the highest ever in the state of Florida. So it shows you the kind of pride and support that the community has for the village. And we take that at the village as a sacred commitment to the community to actually do the very best we can to put this community on a firm footing for the future. And we've tried to do that as we've moved forward. We're a city of 45,000 people year-round that balloons up to 65,000 during the season. And to manage this city, we only have 15 full-time staff for a city of 45,000. So wherever you come from, take a look at what that involves. And it means that we're relying on a lot of good contractors, but also some great work by staff and the council. We have two other council members here as well, Jim Ward and Rafael Lopez in the back, that are all part of the 7-member city council team. But there's really a great sense of camaraderie as we try to do the best that we can. In the 11 years that we've been formed, we have dropped our tax rate in 8 of those 11 years. So the only time we didn't was the first year when we were formed and no one knew what we were getting into. I wasn't here. We didn't do it during COVID, and we didn't do it last year. Why last year? Because we're the lowest tax rate in the entire state of Florida. So by dropping it down and being responsible to the community, we have the lowest tax rate for our small portion of the tax bill. We're maintaining solid numbers when it comes to safety. Violent crime in Estero is 75% lower than the Florida average. Property crime is 50% lower than the average in the state of Florida. And we have 2 major malls. So that represents a significant commitment, not only on the part of the residents and community, but also our property owners, some of whom are here today. Since we've been incorporated, we've assembled and purchased 250 acres of land that would have otherwise been targeted and entitled, all of that land was entitled for high density development. So we've kept it's over 800 units off of the market by acquiring land that the village owns in fee title forever. That cost of acquiring that land was $41 million. And we purchased that property. We've paid off all of that debt. And right now the village has no debt whatsoever. So, thank you. So the lowest tax rate, few number of employees, no debt. We will never have any pension debt for any employee. We pay as you go in that to 401ks. So that's the responsible way of operating a government so that there's continuity and there's a solid foundation. What we've also done then is we've tested our financial parameters or foundation in the national credit markets. With the lowest property tax rates, we also have extraordinarily high reserves. So we have over 1 year of reserves in place. And what that means is that when we get hit by the hurricanes, and we've had two of we didn't have to wait for FEMA or the state to respond. We were there the day of, the minute of the hurricane, responding with our own people and with our own contractors, paying cash on the barrelhead to get people there to help us respond to the hurricanes. So what we've done then is recently gone out and gotten a bond rating, anticipating that someday we may go into debt again. What does Wall Street look at Estero and think? Well, in 2025, we submitted for a bond rating and we received the AAA bond rating from Standards & Poor's. What does that mean? That means that our finances are platinum rated by Wall Street. And if we ever do have to go out and get debt, the interest that we'll be paying is lower than any place else. So in terms of the bond rating, there are only 7 cities in the entire state of Florida that have a AAA bond rating. Okay, so that's the kind of the preparing the foundation for this community as we look into the future. What we're doing now is delivering on some of the major projects that we have, and we're following the same conservative financial parameters that were part of our initial startup. First off, we're doing the sports park. Ultimately, that'll be somewhere in the range of $80 to $100 million of initial investment. Again, no debt. Instead of putting money into operations, we're putting money into capital assets that the community can enjoy. And the way we're doing it is that's a 100-acre site over near the high school. It's currently in construction. But what we're doing is in collaboration with the school district, we're developing facilities that both the village and the schools can use so that we don't have to double up, and buy land and then create 2 baseball fields or 2 soccer fields or 2 football fields. So everything you see on that sports park, the village has taken over and is upgrading. So that football field is the same quality football field that the Nashville football team, NFL football team, has on their field. So we're getting the highest quality stuff. We're putting it in, and then we're also bringing in private partners for the private component, using public-private partnerships to bring in other community entertainment activities. So what was referenced by Chris is that High Five is our first partner. They're going in with a 40,000 square foot building, putting in 21 pickleball courts, 36 holes of putt-putt golf, bowling, restaurant, bocce, and all that kind of stuff. We're getting a 9% cap rate on the land and 40% of gross profit. And on that building alone, we're estimating a minimum of $1 million a year, which is enough to pay for the entire maintenance of the remaining sports park without it coming from property taxes. So once we build it, we're done. We'll be able to control it and maintain it, but it doesn't become a drag on the property taxpayer. So we also then, that's the first tenant. We also are bringing in a driving range, and frankly, that'll be all gravy. We have 3 other private pads, and we're looking at national partners to come in to provide other activities that will be available to the community, but also pay their fair share towards the maintenance and continued operation of the sports park. The other thing that we're doing is establishing our brand. We like to think that in Estero that we have something special here. There's high quality development. And internally, we're making sure that every development that comes into this community goes through a rigorous review process where we're trying to maintain the highest possible architectural standards. So as you're driving around the county, you know that there's something different going on in Estero. What we have is a much higher quality. It's a standard that jumps out at you, and it's notable in the entire region. We're doing the same thing on our streetscapes. Estero Parkway was one of the worst streets in the county originally. We've upgraded that as a linear park so that it's walkable and it's more enjoyable than previously just having a sidewalk along the border. And it's done great things to reinforce the value of properties along that street. We're doing the same thing now on East Broadway from Ben Hill Griffin out to our eastern border. That upgrade of the sidewalk, off the road sidewalk, landscaping, irrigation, lighting is going to make it far more enjoyable to walk, bike, and whatnot, and a lot safer than it would be, walking along the side of the road. Systematically, we're doing that throughout the entire community, and street by street, we're making those improvements to reinforce the sense of quality. And then lastly, the third major project that we have ongoing is the focus that we have on environmental stewardship. As you may know, that many of our older communities out on the east of US 41 were developed with wells and septic systems. We've endeavored to keep the Estero River, the only natural river in Lee County. And we know that we have pollution in that river. We've identified, using, frankly, consulting staff from FGCU, we've identified that that pollution is coming from septic systems in our neighborhoods. So we have 13 neighborhoods that still have septic systems, and systematically we're going through each one of those to remove those from septic systems and putting them into municipal sewer, and at the same time bringing in municipal water. So we have two projects that are underway. One of them has a package treatment plant within 15 feet of the edge of the river. Guess where that pollution and overflow is going? Right in the river. But in the next month, that'll be corrected and resolved. So we're making sure that we are honoring our commitment to creating a top quality community that's committed to quality of life. And as we go from the viable to livable to memorable, I think that we have some great things in our future. We're in a great spot to take advantage of some of the growth and bring quality elements to this community that will benefit everybody in the community.
Thank you, Steve. Well, I think just a round of applause for all of our speakers who've given us a very useful coverage. Thank you. And thank you all again for keeping to our nice tight timetable this evening. I want to move on to the second part of our process now. Many of you have already written in to Engage Estero with questions for the panel. What I and my colleagues did was to distill those down into those that seem to be very similar to one another, with, a large number of you asking very similar questions. So I'm going to cover about 6 of them, and then 1 or 2 others that have come in more recently. And if you do have your own questions, certainly we'll have a chance to ask the panel in a few minutes' time. But the first question that came up, which many of you had, was this. Given the changing dynamic, the changing demographics that we are seeing in the greater Estero area with younger families with children, what would you do to address this in the future plans that you have for the locality? That first question, David, I wondered if you might possibly handle that one.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I think we look at that kind of stuff when we invest all over the world. And one of the things that we looked at Estero, and what we tried to do at Hertz Arena, is make it very family friendly and kid friendly. And by the way, before I get into that, I want to introduce you. We have a lot of hockey fans here. We have John McCarron here, who was captain of our 3 world championship teams. John, you stand up. what? John's jersey is going to be retired in 2 weeks. We've only retired 2 other jerseys in the history of our team, so he's a superstar. So thanks for being here, John. He now works for me directly in our hedge fund, so he had to be here. So, but back to your question, it's really important to us to look at a community and say, okay, is this a family environment? How are we going to address the family? And I think we tried to do that with Hertz Arena. You know, we did all kinds of crazy stuff. Like, I don't know if you've seen the blimp we put around in the stadium. That's all to enhance children and children's activities. We've done a lot with youth sports. I think we also are very environmentally conscious. We try to be environmentally conscious. And so the Pandian Golf Club, which I'd like to talk a little bit about, is going to be a very environmentally concerned golf course. It's going to keep its all its stuff with environmental intact. That was important to us. And the natural wildlife be preserved out there on that great course. Probably has 1 or 2 many alligators, but outside of that, it's pretty good. But and all those kind of things are keeping with, I think, the quality of the community. And so we think about that stuff, and it's where we'd want to be and where we'd want to live, and we try to build a business around it. And I'm just astounded that you have no debt, so we must be paying too much tax on Hertz Arenas, which is good for you. I really also like meetings like this. You know, Steve said, you're here. I said, yeah, I'm here. I really like community and community environments, and I think meetings like this really foster that. So thank you. And it helps us as business people understand what the community wants, because a lot of times, we think we do, but meetings like this, we hear it, we feel a part of the community. We really feel that way at Hertz, to be honest, that we're a part of the community here, and the hockey community of Southwest Florida. I didn't say earlier, but we employ 7,000 people in Southwest Florida and have 32 businesses. We buy a business a month. We bought 2 in Florida last year. We've bought 29 businesses in the last 2 years. A lot of those right around here. Has anybody had Stan's Coffee? That's in Lee County. It's good coffee. If you don't, you should start shopping Lee's Coffee. So again, I think we like to be good community stewards, and we like to be in communities that are concerned about the things that concern all of you: traffic, congestion, environment, schools, and help participate in that. Hopefully we've demonstrated that with the university, and we'll do more.
Nick, I know that you mentioned in your earlier talk, the commitment to obviously the schools that you mentioned. How in a way does that question relate to your business, the changing demographic?
So, first of all, I'd like to point out that the communities we developed have developed and are currently developing are primarily family communities, multi-generational communities. That term is used a little more loosely nowadays. We've been using it for a long time. And what's interesting is, with building the Preserve at Corkscrew and building Corkscrew Shores and the place at Corkscrew and Verdana Village, and now moving on to Kingston, we've done a tremendous amount of developments all in one isolated area on Corkscrew Road. So we have a lot of information that we accumulate. With every single person that buys a home, they fill out a survey. We know a lot of information about those people. We know if they have a second home, if they're a retiree, how many kids, what ages, that kind of information. So we really have the opportunity to really get out in front of the people that we're selling to. Our amenities are mostly targeting the variety of buyers as well. So when you go in to design a plan and you do a multi-generational plan, believe it or not, it's actually very, very difficult to design one, because you need to have something that accommodates both young and old, and it's very difficult. And you have to take into account, when you plan it, the different areas, so that way they're a little bit more separate. You're not overlapping the children with the adults. But there's some consistency throughout. And we've been successful at doing that. So for an example, at Verdana Village, we have 51% retirees and we have 49% young families with children. Couldn't be more perfect. Multi-generational, 50-50, that's great. That's a great thing. We wanted to do that. And how do we do that? We have basketball for the kids, youth leagues. We have tennis youth leagues. We have adult tennis leagues. We have adult pickleball leagues and pickleball youth leagues. So we do everything really to its entirety to split in between the two, children and adult. And it's great. And it really does provide something for everybody. Even the entertainment is great for the retirees. We got wine clubs and beer clubs and all kinds of fun stuff. In the meantime, the school itself, by knowing all of this information, we already know Pinewoods is at or actually beyond capacity at this point. They can't take any more kids. And that is a great school in Estero. It's a public school, and it's located a few miles from most of our developments. So we recognize that being an issue. Three Oaks is well above capacity. They can't take any more kids for the middle school. We recognize that. We know that a school is needed in Estero and in this area, especially for the elementary and middle school level. The high school is very close and getting close to capacity in Estero and Bonita, for that matter. In addition to the schools becoming close to capacity, and we know that, we also recognize that the county is doing the best they can to try to fill a seat in every single school. And with doing that, sometimes you don't go to the school that you would like to go to. And sometimes you have to go to a school that's much further away from where you would like to go to. So that's a burden on the parents. It's a burden on the child's next door neighbor, who's probably his best friend. They don't go to the same school anymore. So we recognize some of those things. At Kingston, can I pull up this?
Mm-hmm.
So at Kingston, we have, with our new school, I'm going to show you a picture of it. It's fabulous. Again, 3,100 students, elementary, middle, and high school. That will accommodate all three of areas that we feel need to be covered at this moment. And there's a picture of it. It is, again, a campus setting, and with public tuition free. It's scheduled to open in 2028. We are fast tracking this school to be done. And like I pointed out earlier, it's walking distance. Everybody gets to go to the school, and when they go there, they get to walk to the school. They get to take a golf. We have a golf cart parking lot inside the school that's designed for connectivity. So the mom could literally, or dad can drop their kid off on a golf cart to school and hit the grocery store on the way back home, and then go home and work from his house and never even get in his car for the entire day.
Thanks, Nick. No, that's great. Chris, I didn't know if you wanted to add anything from a health standpoint, given perhaps the changing demographic.
Yeah, first off, on behalf of your local healthcare system, we appreciate the investment you're making in pickleball. It is keeping us extremely busy recently.
It's a good thing or not.
Job security is what we call pickleball. First, I want to say that in Lee Health hospitals on a daily basis, every day of the year, we give birth to a kindergarten class of children, between 25 and 30 kids every single day in our hospitals. So when you're talking about school preparation and building out capacity, this is going to be a great addition to our community. I also think that there's opportunities for Lee Health to participate in things like the school medical clinic, in providing athletic trainers to the school athletic teams, right? And the connection between the school and Kingston to our Verdana. Also at Lee Health, obviously we're investing in pediatrics at Coconut Point. We are proud to have the best children's hospital in the area at Golisano Children's Hospital. So we're always thinking about children, how we can support them and integrate them into our healthcare system.
Fabulous. In the interest of time, because one of the questions that many of you asked was in fact about the concerns for the aquifers. I know that Nick, in his summary a little earlier, mentioned many of the things that, of course, the Cameratta group were doing to help that. And you all heard that. So in a way, that's quite an answer. The only thing I wondered, Dr. Timur, of course, within FGCU, you have the very well-renowned water school, and you may or may not be aware of some of the aspects of research and investigation on the aquifers here. I just wondered if you had any points to make about that.
I just want to mention that definitely there's a lot of collaboration happening with FGCU's water school and Southwest Florida Water Management District, and of course, several of the agencies that FGCU work together. One thing is that, again, your university has been working on these issues in so many dimensions, and past 2 years, the state leaders really trusted us that we received close to $32 million research funding to continue on the water quality and continue on any issues related to water. So ongoing conversations at your university.
That's amazing. That's fantastic. Thank you. The next question, I'm sure you knew this one was coming, even though I said earlier that we don't necessarily have all the right people to answer it. But the question was, the increase in traffic is a concern for many, both within the village of Estero and, of course, along East Corkscrew Road. So the question was, why is there no requirement for road infrastructure before new buildings take place? And also, can road development be accelerated, and who's responsible for that? So I know this is a tricky one, Steve, but I wonder if you maybe have a bit of a go at answering that one.
It would be an odd event if I wasn't thrust into that question at some point. Yeah, we have a traffic problem, and this, I've worked all across the country. We're going from, the infant to the adolescent age in terms of trying to resolve some of these issues. And frankly, this region has to do a far better job with transit and traffic than we're doing right now. This region does not require what they call concurrency. Concurrency is where you put in the infrastructure before you do the development. That doesn't happen here at all. So what happens is that the development comes at market rate. When people want to buy, they buy, and things grow. And then you try to catch up with the infrastructure. In doing it that way, we'll never catch up. Hate to tell you this, but we'll never catch up and make the traffic problem go away. Just in Estero, and Estero only goes out East Corkscrew to Corkscrew Shore, Verdana. Corkscrew, the western edge of Corkscrew Shores. We go from 45 to 65,000 with snowbirds. So that's a piece of it, the snowbird picture. But out East Corkscrew, there's another 25,000 homes or doors that are already permitted. So the developer simply has to go into the county. That's outside of the village of Estero, but all they have to do is pull a building permit, 25,000. The only way for those people to get to civilization is through Corkscrew, basically, and there's other ways. Now, that's a microcosm of what's going on in the county. In the county, there are 86,000 new places that are permitted, including our 25, so the net is significant, that are all new developments that are going to occur simply by pulling permits. That doesn't represent anything new. So that's not going to be stopped. And there's some really good developments. And Nick, Joe, they've got some of those great developments out there. So what's going to happen with the congestion issue? Estero is blessed and cursed by location. You look at Fort Myers to the north, Naples to the south. There are really only 4 ways to get north and south. One is I-75, one is Three Oaks Parkway going down to Livingston, and the other is 41. The 4th one is by boat. And frankly, if you widen each of those 3 roads, there's no way that it's going to take enough of that capacity to make us feel like we're less congested. And what has happened, and my experience has been, is that the roads themselves are no longer a public good. Public good is when you just want to use it, it's automatically available. And in economic terms, it's available to everyone. It's now become more of a commodity. And as a commodity, we've got to control how that's used. So as an example, in the Seattle metropolitan market, they told certain employers, they can do that. They're telling employers what to do. We can't do that easily here. But you have different start times, starting at 7 o'clock, 7:30, 8, 8:39, and you elongate that rush hour. And what it does is puts fewer cars on the road during those peak periods. It's like having experienced it. It's almost like turning the switch where there's less congestion on the roads. There's no easy answers. And what is going to happen, in my opinion, as we look into the future, is that the land uses are going to change so that we in Estero, instead of being afflicted by the congestion, will have some of those uses closer to us. The example that I use, it's real to us. If occasionally you want to go to Whole Foods, you have to plan the trip to Whole Foods right now to Fort Myers or Naples. What if one was right down the street? So that, yes, everything is congested, but your commute time is 5 minutes instead of 45 minutes. So that's the kind of thing, the land use issues are going to help us at least work through some of the congestion issues, because anyone that's going to sit up here and tell you that we can solve it is flat out lying.
No. Thank you, Steve. I mean, I know it's a difficult issue, and obviously, hopefully, we'll get some further insights from the people that we're talking to, as I said, in April. Nick, you mentioned, of course, a lot that you had done with the Cameratta group to try to ease things within the scope that you could. I know you shared with me a little while back that one of the problems that because the lag for major road development can take is now often due to permitting. And, for reasons that you mentioned, that has to be done now, I think, at the federal level, which does add some extra time to the planning. I don't know if you want to make a comment or two just quickly about that.
Absolutely, I would love to. I'd love to. First of all, let me clarify, as a part of our conversation, the federal permitting was a separate part of the conversation, as it relates to how can we expedite, or how can the county that is currently has road infrastructure plans expedite moving those forward. And that's what it was related to. So I'd like to talk about that secondly. But first, the first part of your question, as it relates to, and in follow up to what Steve had said on the work being completed upfront by the developments, that is the case in some cases. That isn't the case with Cameron companies. We do install the infrastructure upfront, day one, like we're currently doing right now. We finished Verdana Village, 3 turn lanes. We finished a traffic signal at Verdana Village. We finished a traffic signal at Bella Terra, paid for. All this paid for with no taxpayer dollars out of our projects and pocket. We've also completed the wildlife crossing underneath in front of the Preserve at Corkscrew. We did those things, but as far as doing them before the project is even, we have no one living in Kingston yet. In fact, we haven't even started our model homes yet. We're starting in about 2-3 weeks, and we've already started and are partially completed with 6 lanes on Corkscrew Road and going almost 2 miles on Corkscrew Road of a widening, all in front of Kingston. So 2 miles of Corkscrew Road is being widened because of the efforts that we're doing before anybody's even living there. We have lanes turning to the left, turning to the right. We have 4 traffic signals, one of which is going in right now over at the new Spine Road or new Kingston Village Parkway and Corkscrew Road. That's going to be very beneficial. That's $4 million in traffic signals that no one's going to have to pay for but us. So we're putting them in up front. We're putting in the Spine Road up front, and we're already working on it as we speak. It's 5.5 miles. It takes a long time, but I assure you, as a private company, we can build it pretty quick. In the meantime, as it relates to the second part about expediting the process, what my point is the county has to go through, unfortunately, some of the same red tape that we do when it comes to the permitting process. They also have to obtain Army Corps permits or 404 permits and environmental permitting to be able to proceed with their road infrastructure plans. A lot of times I think people are misunderstood that believe the county's not doing it or they should be moving quicker, when really in some cases, for an example, like the LECO extension that has been approved, bid out, contracted, and ready to start for well over a year, probably 2 years. But unfortunately, it's sitting there, not even started, because the federal permitting process takes 3 to 4 years to get through. And when the environmental groups made the decision to change the process out of the state's control and into the federal control, it was unfortunate because you almost go through the exact same process, but it did slow down all the county infrastructure plans that they currently were planning to do. So those have been put on hold, unfortunately. And hopefully they'll be able to get rolling on that pretty soon. Another item that people may not have been aware of, Corkscrew Road. Corkscrew Road did seem like it took a long time and needed to be completed well before it finally is getting completed. Unfortunately, federal permitting delayed that process as well, largely. Now they're getting through it. Now they've gotten those issues worked out. And believe me, once you get those issues worked out, you can move forward and move forward quickly, because now it's just about execution. Same thing applies to us as well. In our company, we have approved environmental permits. We have approved infrastructure plans, and we are executing and moving forward and getting them built.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Timur, I know in your talk, you made reference to a number of things with a question which I had. Maybe if you had any additional small points to make, that would be very interesting. The question was, looking ahead over the next 20 years, how does FGCU envisage leveraging its resources, its research, the community partnerships to enhance the social, economic, and environmental development of the greater Estero area? I know you touched on that quite a bit, but is there anything else that you wanted to add?
Absolutely. Just very quickly, we continue to provide this skilled workforce to our communities for all the disciplines. But when it comes to research, a lot of things happening in the water school, and that's one area that we are laser focused on solving any issues related to water quality. That's one. The other area is you are going to hear more and more about the Shady Rest Institute for Positive Aging, and that is in the Merritt College of Health and Human Services. We have a lot of initiatives going on under that umbrella. That's another institute that we focus on research. One last thing I will say, of course, we are in the era of artificial intelligence. And I know everybody is worried about the role of AI in business and work environment, teaching, learning, applied research. So we launched the Institute of Data Sciences and AI Institute that is called Dendritic. And we're offering a lot of workshops. We are offering a lot of research activities in that area. So we are looking at our communities. We are looking at what's happening in the nation, and we are addressing those research and other areas carefully.
Fabulous. I know that, having visited and spoken to the dean of the entrepreneurial school within FGCU, it was an area that interested me greatly because some of the ideas that the students who are in the entrepreneurial school come up with are really quite extraordinary. I know that in discussions with Steve and the village management and structure, I think that maybe in the future, even though some work is being done to encourage those children and the students to stay in the area with their wonderful ideas, hopefully, just a personal view, if we're looking forward to the future, it would be very nice to see some extra facilities to enable those people to start their businesses and get them going quickly.
Absolutely. 1 of 5 alumni creates business in Southwest Florida. That's our statistics. So they create jobs. In addition to we provide workforce, our students create jobs in Southwest Florida.
Well, although I did have some other questions, I think in the interests of you who've been very patient and perhaps maybe have some of your own questions there, I think maybe let me turn it over to you for the next few minutes and see how maybe you'd like to ask some questions. There is a microphone there, so yes, if you'd like to perhaps come up, that would be fine.
First of all, I want to thank all of tonight. It's not on. It's not on. Yeah.
Turn it up a little. Let's, yeah.
Thank you for all your time. I just have a question. This is just more about, we're talking about the aquifers. I'm just curious, along your corkscrew road heading east, you still have some roads there, 6L Farms, Carter Road, Lazy Farm Road. Is it your intent to eliminate the wells and septics there on those small farms, maintain a more rural situation? Are they planned for development? They bring water and sewer down to all of those streets, pave those streets. There's some future plan there. Is of course, we've got opinion, but going to get city water.
We're outside. Those questions kind of pertain to areas outside of the village, so I'm not sure. Some of those smaller lots probably don't lend themselves for redevelopment. So my guess is that they would stay on sewer and well systems, which is not bad, for those so large lots.
Anna down there, we've got 2 Carter Road and 6L, I think, border Verdana, and we've got Kingston going east. I didn't know if water and sewer or gas was being brought down to those roads there. Sure, I can take that.
Bill.
We, of course, being the developer of Verdana Village, we did run water and sewer down from to install it all the way from Corkscrew Shores, and then we also then went from there and installed it down to the place, public water and sewer. And then from there, we went across the street. We installed it over at Verdana Village as well. So we do have it available in that area. We are bringing it down to Kingston as well, which is great. So there will be 0 well and septic that will be there. In fact, Corkscrew Shores, when we acquired the property, there's 273 home sites that had well and septic that we were able to eliminate and change to water and sewer. So that was a good thing for the environment. As it relates to that area, there's water and sewer that's available for our projects. There are some, I believe, county well sites that will be up to them and their discretion, but they are serving a purpose, to my understanding. And as far as your the scattered areas that you may be referring to, I'm not 100% certain on which areas and which ones you're referring to. So I'm a little unclear on that. But yes, we are doing public water and sewer to answer that question.
Let's hear from another person who has a question there.
Is this on now? Yeah, perfect. Thanks. I'll keep this brief. Hello, everyone, and thank you for doing this event. I appreciate it. My name is Scott Stryker. Dr. Timur. My wife and I both attended FGCU. So, yeah. So thanks for all you're doing. Chris, you may recall my family spent about 2 years at Golisano. So just want to say thanks for everything that you did there and continue to do. Steve, I wanted to point out to you, I noticed there was a new townhome community on Corkscrew Road. And I was just curious if the developer was putting in a multi-use path along there, because I know that section of Corkscrew is pretty tight. Hopefully they do that to keep Estero walkable and bikeable. Nick, I wanted to say my wife and I are in the process of purchasing a new home down in Verdana. So good job with the community out there. And I hope you consider putting an awning over the bus stop for inclement weather. A butterfly garden perhaps, and a gravel path around the community to walk and bike. I think those three things would be lovely. And David, I look forward to your future projects and the Pandion Club. And I hope you consider an affordable summer membership similar to what Estero Country Club does.
Thank you.
Alan, excuse me, there was a question in there. And yes, we do require the developer to put in a sidewalk along Corkscrew and on Sandy Lane. And in addition, I forgot to mention, but the village council voted unanimously 2 weeks ago to purchase the rail line that goes through Bellevue.
Yeah.
So that's a $20 million purchase plus cost to upgrade it. So it's no small issue. And it's not yet a done deal, but Collier County's approved it. We're waiting for Bonita to come through as well. But 2 of the 3 partners are on board.
Yep. Thank you. All right. Question.
Hi, my name is Don Incognito. I live in Country Creek, village of Country Creek, and I love Estero. And I also have some concerns over the roadway, of course, the congestion between 41 and 75. When I leave my development, I sit in traffic 15 minutes to get on 75. I'm retired, so I don't have to go during traffic hours, but now I notice even when I leave my development at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm sitting in traffic and people block the box constantly. Is there any way we can get some type of signal there that lets them know not to block the box? Because if you're coming from Williams, and I understand that we're getting a cancer center on that corner that's coming, we're also getting the townhomes down on Coconut Point and Corkscrew, which is going to only add to that congestion. They constantly block that box. So now I've had no alternative, and this is going to change once your entertainment center opens, coming up Williams to cross over Corkscrew to get into my development. They constantly block that box.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to run through that light to get through the next one. Also aesthetically, I have called the county many times. When you drive from 41 to 75, there's no green grass in the middle. The palm trees are dead as could be. It looks like we live in a third world country. What can we do as a community? Our community has invested $7.1 million in our clubhouse. We also volunteer to go out and clean Corkscrew monthly. But our resources, as you see, we're investing 7.1 in our community. We need resources to fix up that roadway with either fresh plants, something that's green and looks alive. Everything is dead. And it is it's the biggest cut through because we are the only exit in Estero to 75. Why isn't anyone concerned about aesthetically what that area looks like?
Okay. I think we have the question.
I'm going to give that to David.
It's a great, it's a great question. If I leave Village Hall to go east on Corkscrew, and if I leave anytime before 6:30, it'll take me 40 minutes to get to 75. Corkscrew Road, as you know, is one of the county roads in the community. So the county has 3 Oaks Parkway and US 41 is maintained by them. Corkscrew needs a lot of help, and the county simply doesn't have the resources to step up to that. So someday the village will take a look at that in terms of the beautification program, but it needs more than just trees and green grass. It needs widening and so forth. And that is a major project, several $100 million. And it's a desperate need out there, but the county frankly has many other dozens of other desperate needed main streets. And we're talking with them on how to step up to some of those issues, but there's just no easy answer.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we increase our impact
All right.
because we're not competitive with other towns around us.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Another question?
My name is Scott Justin. I live in Vista Wild Blue, which is right across the street from Valterra. Thank you very much for that traffic signal. It's extremely useful. That community is relatively new, and if you go back and look at the marketing materials for when that was developed, it had an Estero address on it. But we have a Fort Myers address now. It's 33913. The post office is over by Page Field, which doesn't make any sense to me at all. And quite frankly, after hearing all this, we're feeling a little left out. So we also have a community website on Facebook, and it was just a survey that said, do you want a Fort Myers address or do you want an Estero address? Overwhelmingly, 98% wanted an Estero address. So my question is, how did that happen? And is there a way for us as a community to try to become part of the Estero community?
Yes. So a lot of the communities out East Corkscrew are just over the line. Vista is Verdana, Wild Blue, Corkscrew Estates, Corkscrew Shores. They're all in unincorporated Lee County. And yet they were marketed as being part of Estero. So many of those communities have approached us about the possibility of annexing into the community. And that is a possibility at some point. It's not here yet, but it's been discussed and it is frequently discussed. I think coming in here, I think 3 people talked to me between the restroom and the front door. We have a good brand and people want to be here. The post office is a different matter. Around the country, a major problem is a disconnect between the post office and the local communities, where the post office has a different mailing system that does not recognize your local community. And that is a major problem. And several of our federal legislators in the state of Florida have picked up the gauntlet to say we've got to change that. So right now there's a consortium nationally trying to change the postal zip code arrangement. The number of communities involved is about 600. So it's around the country, it's a big deal. But the post office is very reluctant to change anything.
So the annexing thing is in progress, or is there something that I need to do in order to?
Talk to your neighbors, talk to your HOA, have them see us.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I think the previous gentleman, because I was going to ask about the annexation as well. So, and thank you, Pat, for agreeing to speak with us tonight. And Steve, I want to thank you and your team for the village and the great job that you guys are doing. One thing, I may have misunderstood what you said regarding Corkscrew Road, because I'm so frustrated with that, I don't know what to do, but I can't do anything. And I think it's maybe not in your hands, it may be in the county's hands. But I'm thinking now the expansion beyond Estero and where Estero, Alico Boulevard and Corkscrew come together as you head east. Because I don't know what's involved in that. I think you alluded to the fact that you couldn't do anything to expand Corkscrew Road before the communities were built. something along that line. Is that right?
Correct. Corkscrew Road is a county road, and they have plans to widen Corkscrew Road. The first effort that was done out to Corkscrew Shores has already been done, but the other phases from Corkscrew Shores out to Alico is the next phase, and then from Alico east is the second or third phase.
Correct.
Those are significant tens of millions of dollars. And the county has other problems like that throughout the county. And it's a question of scarce resources chasing a public improvement. It's a problem for me. I live in the preserve along with Nick. And when I have an early morning meeting, which I don't like, but when I do, I get on to, last Friday, I got onto Corkscrew from my community. I made it about 200 feet and I was stopped. I turned around and went back to Alico and up to Alico and 75. The county's got a daunting problem that has been in the making for decades.
Thank you.
I will add something if I may. The phase 1 completed. Phase 2 is underway, as everybody has seen, up to Alico and all the way and beyond. Really, initially it was down to Verdana Village, and now there's consideration to potentially take and fill the void because we completed everything in front of Verdana Village. If they do the expansion all the way down to Verdana Village, and then it stops, and there's Kingston, we're putting in all those 6 lanes for miles. There's only 1 mile, maybe just over a mile of road work that will be left as a 2-lane area. So they're relooking at that as well, possibly even out to 82. The county is actively pursuing what they can. There's the challenges obviously involve federal permitting and design and money. But in addition, what's great about that is about what we have in our area and our projects are we do provide them with the right of way. So they don't have to go out and try to get a one-off house for a 100-foot or 200-foot stretch and then go get the next guy and try to assemble it, the next guy, the next guy. They have a mile or 2 miles of frontage they get right away from the process that we go through with them and the contribution that we provide to them with the right of way. So it really, really helps. Secondly, I want to point out that our projects, the county commissioners were, quite frankly, brilliant when they came up with a new plan. The lady somewhere in the audience just mentioned, about the impact fees. Our projects pay road impact fees the same as everybody else. Our road impact fees, we have paid just in our projects alone are $81 million. Okay. In addition to the $81 million, they came up with a certain phrase called a proportionate share amount. The proportionate share amount is a really unique concept that only applies to the Corkscrew corridor for roads, wildlife crossings, that type of infrastructure. And when they came up with that, it's an actual additional fee that we as a developer have to pay, and we paid it for the place, for Verdana Village, and again, we will be paying it for Kingston as well. And that total amount is $27 million in addition to the 81 of road impact fees. And it allows them, instead of taking the road impact fee and spreading it across county-wide, they get to use it now on that Corkscrew corridor where it's needed. Mm-hmm. So it's really a wonderful thing that our projects are able to accomplish. And we worked hand in hand closely for a public-private partnership with the county to come up with that strategy. And hopefully, and it has already proven with phase 1 being completed and now phase 2 underway, it will help expedite the road work, the widening, buying, the purchasing of right-of-ways, et cetera, moving of utilities all the way down and continue that road work for the next however many years.
Okay.
Well, I want to thank you,
you.
Nick, and your family and the Cameratta company
Thank you.
for all the wonderful work you've done in building those communities along Corkscrew. They're fabulous. We used to live in Corkscrew Shores. We moved down to Verdana Village. We love
Thank you.
Right.
Appreciate it.
What I'd like to say, ladies and gentlemen, I know that you've been very patient with our time this evening. I'm going to just take these two questions from the people who are standing here, okay? And then we'll be calling a close to the meeting because I know that David Hoffmann has to travel up to St. Louis very shortly. He's been very gracious in coming here with us tonight, as everybody else. But we will be closing in just a few minutes. What I will say, just for those of you who sent in questions, I do have all of those questions here. And what I'm going to do is to prepare them for our panelists. And over the next week or so, ask them if they would address your questions that you sent in, which we may not have been able to have gotten round to. And then we'll produce them for you. We'll send them out to you and also post them on our website for you. So nothing will get lost and we will address them. But let's take these last two questions and then hopefully everybody can get home a little early and have something to eat.
Thank you very much. It's very informative, very helpful. My question is, considering the issue of fewer resources than need regarding roads and how the building is going to be impacting the roads that exist, what can residents do to be heard? In other words, Corkscrew is probably one of the worst, but there are others, like once the sports arena goes in, Williams is going to be a nightmare, especially with the school. So, I mean, what process is there, if there is one? Who do we speak to? How do we get our needs heard?
So what we do in Estero is we do a master planning process that addresses some of the future impacts coming. Williams Road is an example. We know that has to be widened. We drop that into our capital improvement program and we'll systematically look at that as resources occur. So it's not going to be immediate, but then the demand at the sports park is not going to be immediate. So we're looking at that. The bigger issue, I think, is the bigger projects like Corkscrew. It's just such a massive kind of thing. And the county has the same issue on Daniels and 82 and everything else. I know we're talking about, what as the professional staffs of all the cities, what can we do? How can we help address this? And one of the issues is possibly a sales tax that would apply to everyone and devote that to specific projects. Now, a sales tax, the beauty of it is that it gets a lot of the snowbirds and, everybody that comes in. Let's not kid ourselves. And they're part of the problem. But the problem is far bigger than that, of course. So that's one way. We're, as a region, going to have to step up to that. And we pound our chest and say we have the lowest tax rate. The county's rate is low as well. Not as low as ours, but we're going to have to deal with that somehow.
Is there also a way that residents can look at the progress of that sort of thing? Is it something that would be in your newsletter, or is there
we publish our report card every year in terms of what we're doing in terms of the roads. And we tackle, we've got a huge laundry list of projects that are the small ones that are frustrating. And systematically, we're trying to knock those off.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Barbara. Okay, our last questioner of the evening. Over to you.
Good evening, y'all. Thank you for being here tonight. My name is Stephen Knight, lead pastor at Turning Point Church. My question for you, and I realize it's a big question that could take all evening to answer, but just love your initial thoughts on. As we look at the needs of the Estero community, and you think about how churches and other nonprofits can help meet some of those needs in the near future, what are some ways you see churches and nonprofits helping with some of these needs that you're either seeing right now or you predict are coming in the near future?
Is that here? Sure. Well, we do meet with our church communities on a regular basis. And that's really a very rich relationship because the churches are part of our social network. And there's, as an example, when the hurricanes hit, who were the first groups to be there shoulder to shoulder with us? It was all the churches. So we had whole neighborhoods impacted by Hurricane Ian west of 41 on Broadway. Those people didn't have water, sewer, or electricity, and every home was fed morning, noon, and night by the church community. And that's fabulous. So they're doing a lot of things. We also encourage volunteer groups. As an example, and I use this over and over, but after the hurricane, we can't cut grass on the boulevards because of all the trash that's there. And we had groups that stepped forward, thank you, Julie, that went foot by foot and 40 tons of trash off the boulevards. So we are a community that was formed out of volunteerism, and we're actively pursuing that as much as we can. So if people want to get involved, there's tons of ways. This week, as an example, every week goes by, and this is really a rewarding thing, but we're building a sports park. This week, I get a note from someone who I've never met, don't know who they are, but they said, oh, by the way, we have 300 kids that want to form a little league. And we said, well, it's going to be a year or so before we get this stuff up and running. But 300 kids, we don't have a little league program. And overnight, pickleball, I'm kind of delving into stuff, but 21 pickleball courts. And I heard about a month ago that there are 5,000 people from Estero that are on that pickleball. Wow. And we didn't raise a little finger to do it. All we're doing is, so if you're part of a church community, we'd love to hear from you, and whatever needs that we can help identify and maybe pull partnerships together, we're doing that all the time.
All right, thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, look, just as a couple of points from me. First of all, as you probably know, Engage Estero does actually mean engage. That's what this evening was about. Obviously, it's been a tremendous panel that we've had to address many of the things that I know are on people's minds. But we also hear from you, and both my executive team members and I liaise with all of the people that you see here if we have issues that we feel they should like to know. Interestingly, Mark Nowitzki, who I think may be still here, and I only a couple of weeks ago went up to the county commissioner's offices and had some very important discussions with them about some of these very concerns that you have. In fact, it was mentioned this evening that having raised a great concern to the county commissioners that the light that caused the terrible accident on Williams Road and 41 when 5 people were killed 2 years ago, we explained that it was really very sad that nothing had been done to change that light to a protected turn. Now, it just so happens that several people saw those lights being addressed with the technicians earlier today. I was hoping I might have had a chance to try it out to see if it was in place to be able to tell you for sure that was the case, but fingers crossed, maybe the words that we had on your behalf has actually created some action, which is very encouraging, I think. So we are certainly here to try to help you as much as we can. And, as I said, we touch base with so many different people. So just in passing, just when you do take your documents home, given what I said earlier, if you feel that you can support us somewhat in what we do, then we'll continue to do all that we can to help you. But last of all, please put your hands together for our panelists and thank them so much for their considerable help tonight. And thank you for coming. We very much appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. Safe journey home.